Let's see how to import new animations onto your character model in Wicked Engine. What I have open now in my browser is the mixamo.com website, which contains several animations that you can freely download and use. I selected the capoeira animation, which I kind of like how it looks, and I think it would showcase pretty nicely how you can import this animation onto the VRM model. Download the animation after you configured some settings for it if you want. With the download you can also configure some things like which model format you want to download it in. Let's choose the FBX. Whether you want to include the skin, so the model file with the animation, or just the animation without the skin. You can also specify frame rate for the animation and other things. Let's download it now with the skin as binary FBX. The animation is now downloaded. Let's open Blender, because we want to convert the FBX into GLTF format, which Wicked Engine can actually open. Delete everything from the default Blender scene. Choose Import FBX Model. It was downloaded to my downloads folder as capoeira.fbx. Let's import it. It is now opened in Blender. Let's export it as GLTF. Choose Export and GLTF 2.0. I will export it to my models folder as capoeira.glb. I choose the GLB extension and the binary GLTF format, because it saves the whole model into a single file without any additional texture and additional little files, which just makes it easier to manage, in my opinion. Export it. Once the export is completed, open the Wicked Engine editor. First I will open our previous character model that we exported from Vroid Studio. It's usually in the Documents Vroid folder. It's called a.vrm. If you are interested in how to create this kind of character model, check out the previous video about the character creation and character controller script. This was the model that it was used there. It has a humanoid rig, and the head rotates to the mouse direction, which is the default behavior for humanoid rigs inside the Wicked Engine editor. It is important that the model has to contain a humanoid rig if you want to use the animation retargeting, the animation importing functionality. I will describe that why that is later. For now, let's also open our previously exported capoeira.glb file, which was in my models folder. As you can see, it also rotates the head towards the mouse position, because it also has a humanoid rig. I will simply grab the capoeira.glb and move it away from the Vroid character just to not bother me. So, as I said, it is important to both models to have a humanoid rig. This is because the humanoid rig contains bone logic that is consistent across the Mixamo and the VRM character model. Right now, the Wicked Engine editor can only import humanoid rigs for the Mixamo character models based on the Mixamo naming convention for bone names, and for VRM character models based on the VRM extension for GLTF. Let's filter the animations right now in the editor by selecting this icon, this running man icon. And we have one animation right now in the scene. Let's select it. It is the animation that is coming from this Mixamo model. drop down the animation or expand the animation component window, you will need to choose the retarget option with this drop-down menu. The retarget option will say which humanoid rig you want to move the animation onto. Resist the urge right now to try the animation for the Mixamo model, because it will remove the, or should I say, it will modify the pose of the character to not be this T-pose. It is important that both the model files are in the same pose when you retarget the animation, because this will be used to make a difference with the animation and map the animation correctly onto the other character, which might have different proportions to the original Mixamo animation model. So choose retarget animation while I have this animation selected, and move it onto our a.vrm rig, which is the VRM model that is opened. So this model. And as you can see, a new animation was created. Now you can select a new animation and try it out with the play button. The animation is a components play button. And it immediately starts playing on our VRM character. Let's select the original animation. Press play for it too. As you can see, the animations, both of these animations are very similar, but they are running on differently proportioned character models. And in case of the VRM character model, it also has some procedural animations applied on top automatically by the engine. So obviously the skirt and the hair animations are not included in the Mixamo model, but they will be played consistently as you would expect on the VRM character. Let's remove the entity filtering, and you can delete the Mixamo character model to just leave your character model only in the scene with the animation that you want. You can save this character model as a new WI scene file, like A. Now if you reopen the a.wi scene just to check, now you see that it still contains the animation that you retargeted, and it is playing if you left it as playing. There is something to note here, that the animation is now baked onto the character. So the character model itself contains the animation now, which might not be what you want if you have lots of characters that you want to apply the same animation onto. This kind of animation retargeting that you can do in the editor is called the retargeting with baking down animations to character, also called offline retargeting. The other kind of retargeting is runtime retargeting, which does not duplicate animation data onto every character that you want to use the animation on. That you cannot specify from the editor, but you can specify it from the engine code or Lua scripts. The character model, the character controller, for example, uses the runtime retargeting solution that we can verify by just closing this and opening the character model from the character controller script. Which is called character.wi scene. If you filter for animations in this model, you can see that there are none. But if you open the character controller script, then you will see that there are indeed animations playing on all of these models, even though the models themselves don't contain any animations. This is because the script, after loading the models, loads an animation model that contains all the animations that this script uses in a single file, and then maps the animation onto all the character models in the script. This does it so without actually duplicating all the animation data for all the characters, but reusing a single animation for all the characters. Close the script, and you can also verify this by a bunch of skeletons standing in the middle of the scene. These are actually our these are the skeletons from the animation model file that the character controller uses. Let's close the scene now. Actually, let's close the editor now. Go to the character controller Lua script, where if you search for animations, you will find out that there is a load animations function being called. Load animations function is something exclusive to this character controller script. It specifies an animation asset file, which is a regular WIScene file called animations.wiscene in the script assets folder. Search for this animation, load animations function, and the first occurrence in this script is the load animations function, which is defined as a simple function that uses a load model. So it just loads a model into a separate scene, an anime scene, and then finds all the required animations that the script will want to use by calling entity underscore find by name and saving those results as these variables called idle, walk, jog, and so on. Then the animation scene that was loaded finally gets merged into the main scene, so that the animations can be reused by everything else in the main scene. Within the character class's create function, the retarget animation gets called. The retarget animation, first parameter for it is the destination humanoid rig, which is the character's own humanoid rig. The second parameter is the animation identifier that we can retarget to the humanoid rig of the character. This animation identifier is what entity underscore find by name returned. It's an entity identifier. And the third parameter is specified as false. This is an optional parameter. If you leave it by default or specify true, then it will use the bake down animation retargeting. So it will bake down the animation to the character model itself. But if you leave it as false, this means that the runtime retargeting will be used. The animation data itself will not be duplicated. It will be instead shared with the character model, and the retargeting will be computed at runtime every frame. This is better for memory consumption. It will reduce your memory usage at some minimal additional performance cost. So now you know how to import your own animations onto your own character model file. You know what is bake down animation and runtime animation retargeting. If you want to save a model file with complete animations, then you can use the editor's retarget animation functionality. If you want something more complicated but perhaps more optimal, reusing animations for several different character models, then you should use the runtime animation retargeting solution, which you can find the example for in the character controller Lua script. I hope you found this video useful and interesting. If you create anything cool, then be sure to share that on the Wicked Engine Discord channel. This is it for animation retargeting. I hope to see you in the next video.